Hello, my name is Dr. George Mochocki, and welcome to Understanding Business Organization. Uh, you're either taking me an online or a face-to-face class. I teach at a community college, either at Harper or College of Lake County. So if you just happen to find this YouTube out there, look me up. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. Ask which courses I'm teaching. This is a quick overview of what we've covered in class. In an online class, in our discussion board, or in a face-to-face class, you have the author's materials, their links. I provide you the mind maps, which is on the second tier. You print them out, you take the notes, write them, you add on to them, and this is just a summarization. You won't get the full flavor of it unless you're in the class, you read the materials. So again, sign up for the class. I'm trying to pay off my student loans on this, and this is a source of income that takes care of that one aspect of my outputs, my financial outputs or obligation that is due. Okay, okay. So let's go into understanding business. Now, most of you will have some kind of ethics course, and usually done by the philosophy department. For some reason, they don't think that business people are very ethical. And when you look at the news and you look at everything else going on, we most likely aren't that ethical. I mean, you've got the Ponzi schemes we're going to be talking a little about, the Madoff. You look about other individuals ripping off, some people coming across as being very religious, very Christian, born again, or very orthodox, whatever religion. So we do most likely, and look, it's not every business person is unethical. Some at the top, remember human nature, greed. You've taken psychology classes. Some cross that line. Remember, for whatever reason. And we'll talk a little bit about how does a business person. Some you remember, some individual going to wake up is going to be already unethical. That's in their fiber or their core value. They're already that's them. That's a small percentage. Majority of business people and individuals going to work, anyone in the business or even nonprofit organization, we don't go to work to be unethical. We make bad decisions, and then we try to cover up those decisions. And what happens instead of coming up, it just snowballs. If you look what's going on with what do you call it, our presidential campaign that's going on there. You have one candidate that says weren't aware of a certain type of email. Another candidate wasn't aware about certain kind of what do you call it? For lack of better words, deductions he or she took. That's all fine, you know what I mean? Because most likely they're probably within the law. Legally, they're probably just made the law. But is it ethical? Is it what individual? And that's where you're looking for a business perspective. Remember that dilemma. I'm following the law, maybe not far to the left or to the right. Here's the law. I followed it to the letter. But does that make me ethical or unethical? And that's what we're going to learn today. Okay. So remember, sign up for the class. And if you're not in the location, College Lake County is in Lake County, Harper College is in Cook County, and it's a community college. And for some ever reason because if it's a YouTube, you somehow found us on here. Try to contact your community college. Community college is the best value for your money. You have a lot of PhDs that are out there. We don't like to do all the research work. We had to do that for our dissertation, but we'd rather teach instead of having a TA or doing research. So most of us that teach, we are practitioners. So what we've learning, what we're bringing in here, we're trying to put into the practice. Philosophy usually teach ethics. But what better person to teach you how to not fall into that unethical mindset or process than a business person who sees uh, uh, those pitfalls, for lack of a better word, and how to avoid them. That's why you're going to school. So it's a Ponzi scheme. Remember, the author did a good job, so look it up. Okay, let's go on here. You've got my concept match. This is a quick overview. I'm going to try to keep this underneath an hour, so I'll pick up the pace a little bit. Okay, what's a Ponzi scheme? A fraud by paying returns to existing investors. Let me make this just a little bit bigger. Remember, you have this, and I want you to use your own words. And those of you who've had me in, let me see what I do. I think 200. Okay, those of you who had me in other classes or in a face-to-face class, remember, Ponzi scheme, just fraud, paying returns, investors by new investors. That's all you had to do. I put more in here so it's easier for you because you're not used to utilizing conceptual math. Keep the verbiage simple, small, to the main concept or the main definition, for lack of better words, that makes sense to you. I'm thinking differently. I know the material, so I just need a few buzzwords, and I already know what I have to talk about. You may need a few more words to stimulate the mind. After a while, you're going to find out this is a nice way of learning. Okay, so new investors are promised. Okay, so you pay old investors by bringing in new investors. Opportunity claim generate high returns with little risk. Look, even in any kind of business, you know that you have your ups and downs. If it's always up, something's going wrong. Nobody's that perfect unless they're in a time machine and going back and forth. Okay, fundraisers focusing on attracting money to make promises, okay, and securities and exchange. And if you look at the securities and exchange, I got the website in here. Look at it. It gives you some information that looks at unethical information, unethical practices, companies, some kind of reports you have. Good value, good information. All right, try to save these. Those of you going for your bachelor's or you're going for your master's, and you have to have credible sites. This is a perfect one. Okay. Okay, what are ethics and what are laws? So let's look at that. Ethics, for lack of better, standards or moral behavior of a society. Behaviors that are accepted by the society. Okay, now we in America. Okay, now laws. Let me just go this way. I just go with laws. Laws are enforced in courts. You know, product liabilities, business laws, rules, codes, regulations. Okay, common law created by court decision precedents. So if I'm looking at laws, laws are created by the moral society. The majority of people say, "Hey, this is the moral values we want of this society." Right now we're talking about the U.S., but you know, other countries we've had the global chapters previously. So this is the moral society. These are the rules, and then you have the global. What's morally right? The global. And you've got the international community. You know, what I mean, you may have some different perspective, but mostly treat individuals right, treat them with dignity. Everyone's all right. Let's leave it at that. Okay, so that's laws. So laws, if you break, you go into jail. Morals, I don't break, but I may lose customers, or I may feel bad about myself because my moral values, you know, my right or wrong, for lack of better words, we're going to talk in a little bit right here. My moral right or wrong is my compass. Okay, so now you have that. Now in America, we have situational ethics. Most Americans, what is best for them at that time. So if it's not into my fit, and that's not only American, it's human nature when you go into international. We all looking at what's in it for us. I hate to be so callous, but that's it. Okay, so let's look at basic moral values, right or wrong. Okay, integrity, respect for human life, self-control, honesty, courage, self-sacrifice. That's all even an international. That's kind of like a global kind of a precedent. So, most societies will agree with this. You always got some radical out there, but most of them are basically will fall in line in this one. Okay, wrong. Cheating, cowardice, and cruelty. Okay, now cruelty. This is a one when one looks at cruelty with situational, or what is cruel and unjust, depending on the outcome, depending on the situation. That all has to be factored. Remember, I'm not looking. I'm just looking at values. I'm not judging one cultural value over another, or you're just looking at, but what's the value that I, as an organization, have to bring? So when I'm looking at people got different values, different idea, I'm bringing this in. We're going to talk about the code of ethics down in here, and that's how I bring the values in. Remember, there's two different ways to bring my values of the organization in, which is not discriminatory, it's not hurting anyone else, but they're common core values that everyone should practice when working for me. Okay? All right. So the next one you have on this one, so we have moral values. We got right or wrong. Now let's look at facing ethical dilemmas. You have to ask yourself three questions: Is it legal? Is it balanced? And how will it make me feel about myself? Now, all this depends is how I grew up. And I asked a question in class: Hey, if I found $1,000 in a wallet and I'd find it and it had the person's ID and everything else, would you return it? Majority of people said yeah. You know, some says no. Okay, and I said, now what happens if you didn't have the IDs in there and you just found the money? Would you return it to like campus security? Say, I found this wallet, or what would you do with it? Most of them said there was no money, no IDs. I would maybe return the wallet back. And let's say they got charge card or something else, return that back, but I'll keep the money. And I said, how would your family or parents? Some would say, oh, my mom would make me return it because that's right. Others would say, I would get myself all beaten up, because my wife said, you got $1,000, you can put no money, that idiot shouldn't have lost it, she shouldn't have kept that much money, should have had a debit card, well, whatever, you should have kept it. So you remember, so the values come from how we were brought up in society. We, as little children, we grow up, and then the exposure we had, what companies we were working, some are more ethical, some are more unethical, some are ripping off customers, some find the line, some, so there's a lot of other things that are factoring. But now, what we're looking from this chapter is, now this employee is working for me, and how do I bring them in? But just generally, we should always ask these questions, and depending from your frame of mind, how you would respond to this. Okay, now I have a pick here. A lot of people give to the veterans. I'm a veteran, so they give too much. So they say, hey, I want to give. Now what's happening? Now look at this ethical. Now there's a lot of different veteran groups that they get cost of fundraising, like this is Vietnam Now National Headquarters, Operation Homefront. Now this amount here is how much they collect out of all the money they collect. I think it's in the millions, 105 million. Charitable program. They only give out of everything that they collect, 1.2 million out of everything they collect. Only 7%. Out of every dollar, only 7 cents goes to, for lack of better words, goes to the charity. 92 administrative expenses, and the other, look, 83% is for those telemarketers. Hello, do you want to come in here? Show you the pictures, the marketing. Would you want to give to this organization? I feel for them. Do I want to give? Or do I want to give this other? Which is an operational front, still helping the veterans. Otherwise, they give 92% of what they collect. For every dollar they collect, they give 92%, 92 cents back to that veteran. And there's always administrative costs. You can't do anything. You have to pay the administrative cost, the rent, for people to bring people together. Volunteers are here one day, they're not the next day. You got to keep the flow, so you have that. And now look at this. Their fundraising cost is only 2.4 million. Which one? I mean, they had to pay for fundraising only 5%. So I figure for about like 10% is a good average. 10 to 20% is administrative costs and fundraising, and the rest should go. So 20 cents should go for that amount. The lower amount, the better. Here's another one that's here's at 11%, still not too bad, but 85% goes to the cause they go, National Military Family Association. So I'm saying this came from now. Did this one do anything wrong? No. They followed, they certified, they told them, they submitted the paperwork to the government and say, here's how much are my expenses. If you want to give, because you're not a, research is there at fingertip. Look it up, look up a site, see how much to give. There's sites in here, all right? And it also gives you a site. I'm just saying, remember, this is still legal, but not ethical once I find out. And okay? All right, very good. Let's move on here. Okay, now factors influencing managerial ethics. Okay, now remember I talked about the individuals. How work personality, good ethics leads to lower employee turnover. Remember from when I'm looking at the individual, family status. Look, if someone is divorced, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people divorce. Things didn't work out. I'm fine. But if you've been divorced 15, 20 times, nothing wrong with that. You just haven't found the right mate. eHarmony or Match Mingo, whatever the heck is out there. Just didn't find that. But as me, I'm looking at, okay, they've been to so many times, are they going to be here for the long haul? What's going on here? Are they a poor judge of character? And I'm looking at an HR person hiring. So if you, I'm not trying to say, remember, I'm in my mind, I'm looking at this. So I'm looking at their background, what they've done. They had a whole thing about bringing people released for minor offenses, and now they got a jail thing. Have you ever been jailed or fined, whatever? You know what I mean? So you may look at it, oh, he's been in jail, he's been with those influence. And he or she may just fell in, we all make errors. Should we give him a break? Now, if it was some kind of capital punishment or something like, really extreme, I would like to know about that, because I still have to protect my workforce. There's a balance. Okay. All right. Now, organization, learn watching top management, competitive reward system, and job dimensions. And this basically, you have to look at the top management, and they're the ones that set the tone. Now, the environment, economic condition. I'm out of my job. I'm just barely making. Or I'm not being paid fairly. I'm going to try to offset it, but I got to take something, or I'm doing something. So you have to look at all these factors are affecting how ethical. They're not stealing, but are they crossing the line? They're taking longer lunch, and that could be kind of like a theft if I'm looking, because they're taking a time, and time equates to money, so it's basically theft. That's from a manager, that's how you would address that. Okay, all right. So now there's two types of code of ethics. You have integrity. This is a person who walks on water. All right, define organization guidelines, create the environment, stress a shared accountability among employees that supports ethical behavior. This person will just do everything right. He'll find the money no matter what. No money, he'll turn it all in. You find that KFC driver found $1 million in a brown bag. He knew who the last fare was. Look, if they don't collect, they give it back to you. That's the theory is supposed to be. Most people are. It's hard to find individuals like that because of environmental factors we talked about here earlier on this one. Okay, so what we're gonna do is basically most businesses have to do compliance. Emphasize preventing unlawful behavior by increasing control by penalizing wrongdoers. Here's the policy. You go in the store, security cameras in aisle 4 is compliance. So I want to steal, we prosecute all shoplifters, small or large, doesn't make a difference. They're all going to jail. And sometimes you got to be thinking, because if a little baby picks up when you're in the cart and I didn't see, he took it, you're going to arrest a little kid, you're going to arrest me, I didn't see it, how kids take it. Or is it a plain kid? I never know. You never know. Come on, you're in business. There are, people are more creative to get around it or come right to that. I didn't steal nothing. It was an accident. I took it on there. Whatever. So you use common sense. Use rationale. Don't do like a zero policy. Anything to talk to you already there. You have to use your common sense. What makes sense? Okay. Did he or didn't he? That's where you're looking at integrity. Always give the person the benefit of the doubt, unless you've arrested them a couple of times. Okay, what causes workers to act unethically? Personal finance is a big one. Balance work and family. Cut corners to cover up mistakes. Remember, these all start. Sales that goes from going through a divorce. I got to pay this. So I'm stealing. I'm doing petty cash. I'm writing up more expenses or falsifying, for lack of better words, bills or something. Look, I used to work with sales and marketing, so you'd have people, you had to turn in receipts after $50. Sometimes you forget. But one individual, I kept on giving him the receipts, and I go, hey, did you just make these up? No, these are all receipts. I said, look at it. I said, you went to this restaurant last month and you give me a receipt, and you went to this restaurant this month and the numbers hasn't changed by one. You mean to tell me this restaurant had no customer? Oh my God, no. I mean, because you could buy receipts, at Sam's or anything else. A lot of people do that. But I trust my sales force. You have to trust them. Once I catch them, they're out. And that's what you have to look. If they're stealing from your organization, do you ever put them where there's money? Do you trust the individual, or do you let them go, or do you rehabilitate the individual? That's something, small businesses, look, once they violated your trust, I basically would recommend you most likely would have to let them go. They know your operation. You can't absorb any kind of a loss or anything else. They know you put your key. They know your billing. They know your accounts. It's just small. Larger ones, I could do a lot more flexibility. But it's something you have to, it's your call. All right, but you have to have a policy in place, and here's what happened. They violate it. So you're treating the person fairly. They're underneath this compliance. They know what the rules are. Okay, so now let's see, how do I improve it? By top management. All right, adopt unconditionally support an explicit corporate code of conduct. Employees understand that senior managers expect all employees to act ethically. Managers and others must be trained. You got to train them. You can't tell them what's unethical. Remember, different values. I grew up in the city, so everyone's doing this. I just petty the cash a little bit. That's what all businesses do, because I see all the movies. Everyone's doing that. But you can say, hey, they may all do it. Here, we don't do it. We treat it. If we overbill the customer, we give the customer the money back. If I ripped you off by an error by one of my staff, I will give you back. I'm not going to fight it. I owe it. I'm not going to try to get out of it. That's the agreement we have. That's how you create ethics, and you tell people when you're at home, I don't care what you do in this here's how we do it. Here's how we treat individuals. Here's our ethical or our moral compass for this organization. Yours may be different. Look, you act differently when you're in a bar than you would do in the church or synagogue or in a mosque or wherever, or a place of worship. You know what I mean? Or with your friends that are closer relatives than you do someplace else. Because you understand that's the ethical behavior, that's the moral there. But you should have that moral compass so you're everywhere. Because, nowadays you'll be on YouTube or anything else. Like I am probably now. Okay, ethics office, and again, must set up which employees can communicate anonymously. It's like a hotline, whatever. You don't ask questions, you're just trying to find out. And all of this brings in flags. Some people may turn in somebody because they don't like them. It's just a flag, and just keep an eye. But it's still a hearsay. It just gives this office some area to look at. It's just something. And if we're not sure, should we tighten up our policies? Okay, I also teach HR. So you can look me up either colleges or at your community colleges, real good. And I'm not saying philosophers also will go through this, but they're doing it for the more of the general, or I'm doing specifically for business related correlation. So I'm a practitioner. What you learn is what you apply. Okay, such as suppliers, everyone knows you treat ethically, or I cut you off my preferred vendor list. Okay, and the whistleblowers, people who report illegal and unethical behavior. Here's what happened: a whistleblower, he's protected, or she's protected by the organization, by laws. But what happens is once I blow a whistle, everyone else, we all have something in our closet other than clothes. I mean, we have something that we've done that we're not proud of. Well, we grow up. That's part of life. You know what I mean? And so when I look at a whistleblower and I've confided in him or her, they kind of shy away because they're going to turn me in also, which we should be supporting. And if you look at now, most of the whistleblower, men or women. That's a question out there. Think about it. Most of the whistleblowers are women. They still got the moral values. You see more and more now. There's men coming in with moral values, but most of the whistleblowers, everything else for ethical is moral. And you had to think about this one lady. Okay, just I'll leave it at that. Okay, how do I prevent unethical behavior? Again, managers. Okay, communicate the vision. Organizations must have a code of ethics. We talk about the policies had to be enforced for ethical offenses. Look, if I have a policy I haven't enforced, all of a sudden I see rapid deterioration of that policy. I just can't go after the next person because I've never enforced it. Remember the business laws and code of conduct. When you look at the laws and the common law, I set precedents but not enforcing it. So I had to reinforce the policy and say, okay, everybody, here's our ethical policy. There'll be no discriminatory remarks or discriminatory language when you're working in the workplace. That's unethical. You'll have some kind of punishment, whatever. And I bring it back in. And now everyone signs up, understands it. Now the first person violates it, then I set a precedence. I'm back in it. But I can't go back because I let it slack off. Ethical responsibility must be taught to our employees. Discussion of ethics must be included in decision making. Is this ethical? Is it balanced? Is it ethical? I try to find that balance. How would I feel? And when I say how do I feel, how would the organization? PR is a strong thing. If I get a bad reputation as an organization, my brain reputation, everything goes down. Because let's say I had some kind of I cut the process and I kind of shortchange customer. And let's look at Subway. They're going through a lot of things with Jared and all that. Other issues, so they dropped him. And remember, Subway, for lack of better words, they had a thing that says it's a foot long sandwich. Someone measured it. The majority of the sandwiches were 11 inches and a half, and people say, oh, but I would look at the bread. Those who bake, bakes up this way, so this way. But anyway, they violated the law. They said something, so they had to. They made an apology. Yes. Now they make them, instead of thicker, to make them just longer, so when they shrink they got to 12. But did they violate the law? Technically yes, but was it ethical? Did they do it on purpose? And so, look, if I'm shortening, taking off an ounce of the bread to make it shorter and claim that, then that's unethical. Kind of hard to prove, but if I could see it, because somebody the policy says, oh, you make it shorter, don't worry about this, you take 1 ounce, there's no way you're going to make this bread, you got to be underneath this way because we could save so much over so many sandwiches. Now that could be now that's basically violating the law, because your ad says 1 foot and you're intentionally reducing it, how your process is. Just or by pounds, by weight. Bread's kind of funny. You just get more ease, you get more bread, less material. I do cook. Okay, must be taken seriously at all levels in organizations. It's not just a fad. Must act fast when a crisis occurs. Don't wait afterwards. Respond to it. Must know that they have to defend and maintain the company's reputation. That's management. Okay. Okay, now if I look at social responsibility, so that takes care of my ethics for now. Social responsibility, when I look at social responsibility, and it's not, I want to say customer service relations is another CSR, but this one here, the author uses social responsibility. Philanthropy is corporate giving, includes charitable donation. But look at philanthropy. I give to certain organizations because I want to give. I don't have to give. I want to give. I feel good. It's my moral issue to my whatever my background. I'm not trying to bring in a religion. Just so some people give. Now companies give, and some people may not accept their gift because they're given not because they want to, because it's good PR. Because it helps my customers. I can write in a marketing campaign. So some individuals will not take that offering or that contribution from an organization because they're not giving from the spirit. Here's how I look at it. If I'm a poor, battered man, because women are more a little abusive now also, or battered women, either one, trying to be fair here, I I don't care where the money comes. Help me and my family. Help me find a home. Help me find help. Who cares? You know what I mean? As long as the good is there. So they get something to write off, fine. We all write off something on taxes when they have when we got pay Uncle Sam or Mrs. Sam too much. We do something. Our tax advisor basically says, "Did you give the contributions? You give something," and we could write that off. What's the difference? Remember? That's why companies don't call it charitable giving; they call it philanthropy. How much could I give it? Remember, when it comes down to the ethical thing for social responsibility, it gives back. Now, corporate social initiatives provide a safe working environment, enhances form of corporate philanthropy, corporate policy, position a firm takes on social and political issues varies among companies. And you have CVS to stop giving any kind of cigarettes, to stop selling cigarettes, and they're doing this. We save so many people from smoking because they come to our pharmacy, they don't buy cigarettes. Look, if I'm a smoker, I'm going to buy someplace else. But on their things, they said they reduced the smoking population of the cigarettes in the state by this percentage. How they came up with the numbers, fine. I assume they came up, but there must have been some reduction. By what percentage? But they took a stand. No cigarettes. We're here in the health industry. We're here to help people, and we took a stand. That's ethical, corporate social responsibility. On the flip side, because I'm a cynic, were their sales low anyway in cigarettes? Did they have to worry about selling to minors, all this other kind of things they have to worry about, some of the wrong thing, getting fined with other stores? I mean, you don't know because that's on the corporate side. Remember, I'm coming up from a corporate to bring the responsibility. And let's say we're doing the sales, how could I put the marketing aspect? I'm not saying that's what they did, but what I'm saying, they still did it good. And if somebody may come up and say, hey, they did this, irrelevant, it did good for the environment. So that's their stand, and everyone knows no smoking. They probably have no smoking policy. And when you look at it, just like in a hospital, should they be selling cigarette machines in a lot of hospitals when they're over there treating cancer and lung or anything else that has cigarette? I'm not saying, you know what I mean? There's the smokers, it's not up to me saying one way or the other. I'm just looking at when I'm looking at corporate social responsibility, and some people are smokers, may not never go to that drugstore, go to some other one. That's irrelevant. That's their call. But they still could go if they're what you can find out. They're close, and my prescription's there. They're open 24/7. I'm going in there. Okay, President's basic rights, and as Kennedy, right for safety. That's President Kennedy. Right to inform, right to choose. Okay. Now, inside trader. I'm going to go a little bit inside trader, and that's illegal. And you hear that now in the paper because that's the inside trader using private company information to further their own future fortunes or those of family. I know this company is going to have a stock split, and the stock is low, and by them or a merger or bringing a new product, coming up with a new product, new wearable technology. That's what's going in now. So if they're coming in there, and all of a sudden this company is going to shoot over, I buy the stocks real quickly at a lower price because I got the inside before everyone in the market knows, and then I make a windfall. Now sometimes you have people that give you a hunch or something else. Look, the government is not looking because I bought 100 shares. They're looking if I bought 1,000,000 shares, 1,000 shares. I was from nowhere. Why did he make that thing right before it happened? 24 hours. Was it luck, or was it just coincidence, or was it that he or she? This is illegal because now you have an advantage over the rest of the market because you got information that was supposed to be confidential until everyone else comes, or the company going bankrupt, and now you as a manager, you get rid of all your stock, you're a senior manager, and all the workers, the company's solid, we've got a buyer, don't worry, and they lose all their investments. That's unethical. That's illegal. So it's an unethical behavior. Does financial damage to the company and the investors that they cheated. Okay, responsibilities of employees: create jobs and provide a chance for upward to employees from a manager. Remember, socially responsible. So if I'm bringing people in and I'm in an area that's depressed economically, but I'm not hiring them because I figure, I don't want this type of a social status or this type of individual. I bring people in, but they buy my product. That's not ethical. I mean, it may not be illegal, but what's the responsibilities? I should be able to move them up in the organization. Minorities or non-minority, everyone has a fair chance because my policy is if you're the right person, you're going to get that. If you're not, I try to help you get those skill sets to move up by on-the-job training or paying for education, so you have those same requirements or that's needed for the next level, because that's for everyone. Okay, treat employees with respect, offer salaries and benefits for help. Employees reach their personal goals. They stay with the companies. They're more ethical. They treat your customers better. They see a future in your organization and business. Even from a small one, because you can tell more small. You're with the business owner. He's ripping off customers. Odds are he's most likely going to be ripping you off. Keep an eye on him or her. What are social audits? Social audits are basically stakeholders, not stockholders. Anyone who touches a company is social audits. What are they? They're basically a systematic evaluation. See, and I go like this. You can just keep on checking until I got the whole audit and everything's done. Hey, kind of neat here, huh? I'm live. I'm a visual person. All right, so let's do a little bit here. Evaluation, organizational progress towards implementing programs that are socially responsible and responsive. Do I have to do it? Nope, because my whole thing is to the bottom line of my stockholders. Mine is to increase shareholders' wealth. Remember, I teach international finance, multinational organizations. When I'm looking at a multinational organization, the whole thing is the subsidiaries, even though they're owned by the corporate or the parent subsidiation, is to bring value to that MMC as a manager. That is said and done. That is why you're hired as manager. That's why I'm in business, to bring money back to my investors or to myself. But social responsibility is good business. If I'm not socially responsible, I've said I've got pickets. I heard a brand name. I mean, I do it because it's right, and a lot of managers do. But remember, you're in that position as a manager. You're working for a corporation or you're working for someone. Your first value is to take care of your shareholders' value. If the company is sinking, you just like anyone else, you're not supposed to. You're supposed to give your tiding, for lack of better words, to whatever is given. But that's or charitable contribution. But that's where it's cut, because I only have so much money. I got to take care of my family. So what suffers? You see the nonprofit organizations suffer, or the international NGOs, non-government organization that get money not only from the government, hopefully not, but from other nonprofits to help a disparity or distress of a certain population. It dwindles. Okay. Now you have 4 types of watchdogs. And you got socially conscious investors. You have socially conscious research organizations that will contradict whatever I do, and that's fine. Environmentalists saying, "Hey, your thing's polluting. Plastic's no longer good." Union officials, they're saying, "Hey, you're ripping us off. You've got more money, not paying the workers well." And customers says, "We're not going to buy your product because you're not being socially responsible to this class of individuals, and we're boycotting it," or whatever you want to do it. As a business owner, you may look at these being a pain. Oh my God. I look at this as a check and balance. We're in a free market society, so I don't go over too much. The union keeps me checked, so I don't take advantage. Why are unions in business or gaining popularity? Because businesses are taking advantage of the workers. Bottom line, don't yell at me. Don't say, I told you. I'm just telling you how it's out there. So as long as I take care of this, or the environmentalists, I may not know. I can't satisfy everything. I'm still running a business to my shareholders' wealth, but I try to find that balance. Remember, that's what I'm doing as business. I'm trying to find that balance. Okay? Okay, now socially and environment. Over 1/3 of working Americans receive their salaries from nonprofit who are dependent on funding from others. The green movement is basically as concerned about global warming increases. I live in Chicago. Where's the global warming? It's cold here, but hopefully it warms up a little bit. I'm looking more at the polar flip. Is another thing. The north's going to be the south, so I'm going to be in the warm weather, hopefully. I'm just kidding out there. Who knows? Down the road, things happen. Okay? We never know, all right? But many companies are trying to minimize their carbon footprints, the amount of carbon released on an item, production, distribution, consumption, and disposal. I know I teach at the community college. College of Lake County is very strong, and that's another college. I can talk about it. They're both sisters. Harper College, College of Lake County, irrelevant. They're both very on environmental, but College of Lake County is more on environmental. They want everything else done electronically, trying to reduce the carbon footprint. That's their focus. That's the direction of that leadership and administration on that. Where Harper College is trying to improve, again, on the environmental footprint, but they're trying to be the best community college by all their staff. A majority of staff will have the advanced degrees, PhDs. So when you're looking at it, they're both standing out. Environmental footprints is there, but it depends on what's the need for the community and what's the need for that board of directors that's basically governing both of the institution, and then you have the corporate, this state of Illinois college community, which looks at everything and saying, yes, you are playing by green, you are reducing the footprint. So you see, so just like from a corporation, everyone's going. And a lot of community colleges are very green, very proactive in minimizing, especially helping small businesses to start thinking green, but still being a cost-effective way. So you have to look at the bottom line. And, that's what I'm trying to explain. Okay, environmental efforts may increase. Costs can offer good opportunities. Emerging renewable energy, energy efficiency. You have solar panels, real good. Account for 8.5 million jobs in the U.S. And by 2030, as many as 40 million green jobs will be created. We're just going that way. The environment, remember, the moral culture of the company, of the country, of the company. All goes down moral, micro, and it also goes down international. Okay, so green, thinking green is good. You see a lot of public concern over the environment. Companies are finding greedy ways to do business. It is safe to be money in the long run. Okay, greenwashing. Some companies are claiming they are environmentally responsible and actually practice a practice called green choices. So what they're basically doing, index for greenwashing, they're not really actively helping individuals. They're just putting up the logo, and they're really the worst polluters or everything else. Be careful. This organization, they catch them, don't buy from them. I mean, I don't care if to take the label off. Then I know what I'm getting. They're not green. Don't put a label on there. Yeah, I'm a consumer. Remember, trust, ethics. Don't put a label on there if it's not, or only just some products are. International ethics. Many businesses want social responsible behavior from their international suppliers. Okay, joint initiative on one, corporate accountability. Workers' rights, those two are a joint initiative internationally, was designed to basically create a single labor standard inspecting factories. Right now, if I'm doing something in developing countries, and what we talked about, that I have to, hopefully, I said, here's a restriction, don't use child labor. I know, but you have to be careful. For them, child labor, in certain countries, 13, 14, you're old enough to get married. In here, you got to be, I think it's 18, and I think some southern countries still 16 or 17. The laws are different. But overall, yeah, I'm not looking at an 8-year-old or something else. So remember, look at the labor, but let's see, our laws are 17. I want only you to hire children or people that are out of 18 and up. How could I enforce that? Unless I'm always watching them. They may have that to say no. But now if all the countries internationally have the same values, same workers' right, same labor standards, it is easier because their own country, the government will be enforcing that aspect for their own citizens, so I don't take advantage of them. Now, the Foreign Corrupt Practices in 1970 criminalized the act of paying foreign businesses or government leaders in order to get business. You see a lot of things in China's tightened up on that. A lot of businesses will hire relatives or anything else for a job, getting high pay doing nothing. That's unethical. That's illegal. So what they're basically saying here with the foreign practices, even though I'm overseas, I have to abide by the same moral values as the U.S. And a lot of companies sometimes, there's more corruption than others. You go through an agent or someone else that will do the working for you within the guidelines of their constraints that they have to work with, but still trying to meet my moral values that I have here. Remember, the whole thing about I stress for moral values in business, once you start adjusting your moral values to lower morals, you start adjusting your compass, your true north and true south. And sometimes those of you use a compass, you got to do adjustments because your magnetic field is different. What's considered true north or true south. So you do the adjustments when you're driving in that area. You're going north and south, and in reality, you're going northeast or whatever. But remember, once you start adjusting that compass, you're adjusting your moral values, and that's going to reflect in your policies and everything else. Now, let's see, cultural classes. Almost half of Motorola's employees live outside the U.S. Okay, so there's a cultural class between there. A Motorola employee returns to his home country to work, remember? So if I'm in a country who has a lot of corruption and company reimburses living expenses, so he, now the author wrote he, I wrote that in there, should be he or she, because it's basically saying that anyone that works for Motorola overseas is a male, and that's the author didn't pick that up. Can live in a safe area, okay? So the company reimburses them, so I'm going to pay a little bit more, give you a thing. Now, should I just give it to the family? But I feel this is a safe area, but the company designates this as a high risk area. Okay, the employee is trying to do an honorable thing for his family, and the company is trying to keep the employee safe. So, what am I using the expensive? Will I use the expensive for college and not to get a better housing? I'd get the money. I'm supposed to use it for housing, but I'm going someplace where it's questionable. But I'm using the money given to me not for the intent it's used. You see the moral issues? I didn't steal the money. I'm still using family. I'm still helping out. It's given to me for housing, but I would want a housing. But maybe I could justify the housing is closer to the college where my kids are going to school. I'm not saying one thing or another. I'm looking at the moral issues. Remember the cultural. What is someone looking at? I don't think it's a big deal. Somebody says by the law, yes, you just stole the money because it was designated for this activity and you didn't utilize it. Employees use the money to help the family instead. All right, is this right for the company to stop the payment? It's a moral issue. All right. Okay. So what do we have there? So we covered all the chapters, and look, I'm updating this. This is a new. Let me just go back in here. Some of you look at the other ones. This is a new one because we have a new book. We have a new author. I wanted to update this so everyone saw what we covered. And remember, take me for the class. Sign me up. Call me either at the College of Lake County if you're in Lake County, or call me and or look me up at Harper College if you're out there. Otherwise, if you're just happen to stumble on this, look up your community colleges. You get the best buck for your money. We're very ethical. You don't have TAs teaching you. You actually have people who have the degrees. And most community colleges, majority of the instructors, a high percentages are out of the business. So we not only give you the material, we have the same requirements, but we also give you the practical. How do I apply this in work? Remember, I'm a contractor for both schools, or an adjunct on a preferred list, for lack of better words. I utilize this, so the more you ask for my class, the more people, the more classes they'll allow me to still income to teach a course. All right. I hope you like the class. Remember, community college is the best for your money, and I'll see you in the next. I think chapter 5 is different forms of business. Yeah. Bye.